The bombs have fallen, the highly radioactive dust has mostly settled, and the survivors of the human race have fled underground in a bid to survive, deep into the bowels of the Moscow subway. The Metro series drops players into this nightmarish post-apocalyptic future, with the first two games in the series, Metro 2033 and Last Light, delivering a terror-filled, claustrophobic journey through tunnels and stations, teeming with horrifying abominations. Plus, there's mutants. And with the third installment in the series, Metro Exodus, due for release on February 15th, main character Artyom will once again be reaching for his trusty Kalash, only this time departing the Metro on an epic trans-Siberian journey across Russia. But before you venture out into this vast post-apocalyptic landscape, you need to be prepared. In this 3-episode miniseries, we're going to both look back at what we need to know from the previous games in the series and gaze ahead at what's new in Metro Exodus. Think of this as your faithful gas mask to filter out any poisonous ignorance. Lovely. Despite the dangers of this post-apocalyptic future, humanity clings to life in the stations of the Moscow Metro, the largest of which contains glimpses of pre-war civilization. There's bars, markets, and even a bit of theatre. Who said the apocalypse can't be fabulous? And while the majority of Artyom's journey in 2033 and Last Light takes place within the cavernous warren of the underground Metro's tunnels, on occasion need arises for him to set foot on the treacherous surface. The Russian capital is now but a shell of crumbling buildings, burned out cars, and even the remains of a plane brought down as the bombs fell. Oof, I'd sure hate to know the terror that these people all went through. Oh good, a flashback. That's it, I'm never sleeping again. Metro Exodus, on the other hand, will take players permanently outside of the Metro, as the main characters undertake a train journey across the slightly still irradiated but recovering Russian landscape. Whereas the previous games were largely claustrophobic affairs, Exodus will drop players in a series of sandbox survival environments. Huge areas to explore at will, each with unique factions, ecology and wildlife. There will always be a critical narrative path though driving the story forward, but those brave enough to venture off the track could be rewarded with new supplies, new gun parts, or new friends. And speaking of nightmarish monsters, 2033 and Last Light feature a gruesome cast of tunnel-dwelling monstrosities, including the wolf-like Watchmen, which hunt in packs, giant aggressive river shrimp, which also hunt in packs, and something called the Librarian, which I can only assume is some kindly old lady. Oh no, I assumed wrong. Still, at least the spiders are small. Oh good lord, kill it with fire! In Exodus, however, now that Artyom and crew have left the tunnels behind, we can expect to see a whole load of new mutants. Creatures whose mutated biology has not been constrained by a life underground. So far, trailers and gameplay has introduced us to these horrifying human-animal things called humanimals. I'll never remember that. We can all agree that they are terrifying, but at least they're mindless idiot. Oh god, did he just throw a brick? They're smart. Run. Thankfully, not all mutants in Exodus wish to brick you to death. There's a whole post-apocalyptic ecosystem out there to discover, complete with mutated wildlife, all interacting with one another. The mutants you encounter will also vary depending on the weather and time of day, thanks to the new dynamic weather system and day-night cycle. So, if you wish, you can find an outpost and rest to change the time of day, and then head outside at midnight into the pitch dark, because, you know, I have no idea why you would do that. Over here! In the next episode, we'll be exploring combat and survival in the Metro series. What do incoming players need to know from the previous games, and what's new in Exodus? Find out next week.
Like and share if you enjoy the video and think others might benefit from this, and of course subscribe and hit the notification button if you are new to the channel and want to be notified every time I post a video.